Hey everyone, today for science I decided to come outside and teach outside. So today we are focused on what the environment needs this week. So today we're going to start with water. So I'm going to share a book with you that we're going to read 5 sections of the 5 days of this week. So I will record those for you like I am right now. So I'm going to share with you that book. We're going to watch a video and then I'm going to share why water is so important and how it affects our daily lives. Here we go. So this book is on Epic. It's not a read to you, so I decided to read it myself. So here we are. So our environment, everything you need to know. Our communication word this week is need. So I thought that this would be appropriate. Okay, so we're going to focus on the water section today. Okay, so let's start. Here we go. What exactly is the environment? The environment is everything around us, from our homes to our streets, neighborhoods, cities, and countries. It's beaches and forests, deserts and oceans. It's the continents we live on. It's our planet Earth. When we talk about the environment, we usually talk about how healthy or unhealthy our planet is. Our environment includes 5 essential elements: water, air, soil, energy, and climate. So we'll focus on water today, air tomorrow, soil on Wednesday, energy on Thursday, and climate on Friday. Our environment is constantly being changed by the organisms that live here. We humans, for example, have always tried to improve the conditions we live in, and every change has had an impact on our environment. For a long time, these changes took place slowly, and nobody worried much about the environment. But then came the Industrial Revolution. People began to build factories to make all the things they needed and wanted. And while industrializing led to rapid changes in science and technology, these factories needed energy to run. Industries and factories have grown, and new communication technologies have emerged. There are also more people in the world, and more of us are living in cities. We need more food and bigger farms to produce it. Today, the entire planet is facing the consequences of these changes. The pollution we've generated is contaminating the environment and contributing to the climate change. That results in rising temperatures and more extreme weather events around the world. More storms, more droughts, more floods. In our case, more wildfires. Protecting our environment keeps our planet healthy. It is an urgent matter. But first, we must know the environment and understand how our way of life has changed it, for good and bad. This will help us take the actions needed for the future health of our planet. All right, let's talk about water. All living things are made mostly of water. Humans are about 60% water. Plants are 80 to 85% water. And Earth's surface is 70% water. That's why the Earth is called the blue planet. Where is the Earth's water? About 97% of the Earth's water is salt water, which is found mainly in the seas and oceans. It's too salty to drink or use to irrigate crops. Only 3% of the water on Earth is fresh water, so it is a rare and precious thing. We use fresh water to irrigate our farmland and gardens, and we also treat it to Only 3% of the water on Earth is fresh water, so it is a rare and precious thing. We use fresh water to irrigate our farmland and gardens, and we also treat it to make safe to drink or potable. There are also 200 countries in the world, but 9 of them consume more than half of the planet's available fresh water. In the United States and Canada, people use a lot of water in their homes. About 65% of that is the bathroom for showering, brushing teeth, and flushing the toilet. We'll learn more about that in a little bit. The remaining 35% is used for things like cooking, drinking, and washing clothes. Canadians and Americans use much more water than people in parts of Africa and Asia. Oceans. The oceans keep the planet's climate in balance. They absorb and store the sun's heat, and that heated water sets ocean currents in motion. The currents move the heat around the planet like a giant conveyor belt. Warm water from the tropics is transported to the poles on the surface of the ocean. At the same time, cold currents flow in deep water. The ocean is home to tiny algae called phytoplankton. They're invisible to the naked eye. These microscopic algae are carried on the surface water by currents, and they play an essential role. Like green plants, they act as small chemical factories. Through photosynthesis, they absorb much of the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and release more than half of the oxygen we breathe. Wow. The 5 oceans are the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Indian, the Arctic, and the Southern. They are all connected, creating an immense body of water that is constantly in motion. Oceans and the economy. Hundreds of millions of people around the world depend on fishing and aquaculture for their food and their jobs. A great deal of international trade is conducted by sea. Huge ships transport cargo all over the world. Fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas make up 40% of this cargo, which can represent a danger to the environment. If an oil tanker sinks, pollution from its cargo can be disastrous to the ocean waters. The ocean is also the source of other activities that have an impact on the economy: tourism, pleasure, boating, shipbuilding, and other offshore drilling for oil and gas. On any single day, there are more than 50,000 cargo ships on the world's oceans. One of the biggest container ships in the world is almost the length of 4 football fields. It can carry more than 15,000 shipping containers at a time. That's a lot. All right, here are some of the threats to the ocean. Building along coastal areas contributes to the destruction of shorelines that protect against storms, such as sand dunes, cliffs, and mangrove swamps. The flora and fauna that live by the sea are also affected by this destruction. Modern fishing techniques allows us to catch more fish than we can eat. Gigantic nets scrape the ocean floor, collecting not just food, but also species like dolphins and sea turtles. At the same time, these nets destroy coral reefs and underwater habitats. Climate change means more work for the oceans. Oceans have always absorbed carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and stored it in the cold ocean depths. But now there is so much carbon dioxide that the chemistry of the water is changing, making the ocean more acidic over time. An acidic ocean weakens the skeletons of coral and the shells of crustaceans, and it shortens the lifespan of many of the marine species. Invasive species of fish or algae can be transported by one ocean to another by ships, radically altering the ecosystem that they invade. Pollution from the land is contaminating the oceans. Fertilizer and other substances run into the water, and plastic garbage and oil spills kill marine life. The most polluted place in the world is a deserted island in the South Pacific Ocean. Henderson Island is located where several marine currents meet, so they all come together. Researchers have discovered more than 38 million pieces of plastic waste there. Plastic litter in the oceans can damage coral and harm other marine animals that become tangled in garbage or eat small pieces of it. In the middle of the North Pacific Ocean, there is an island twice the size of Texas, made entirely of plastic. This huge whirlpool of waste, called the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which we learned about last year, contains an estimated 1.8 trillion pieces of plastic. Other garbage patches are drifting into the North Atlantic and South Atlantic and the Western Pacific. All right, let's talk about fresh water that we drink and use every day. 70% of the Earth's fresh water is frozen year-round in glacier ice in Antarctica, the Arctic, and various mountain ranges. The other 30% amounts to only 0.5% of all the water on Earth. It is from mainly in groundwater, in lakes and rivers, and in the atmosphere, as water vapor, rain, snow, and clouds. The hydraulic cycle. The Earth's water is constantly being recycled in a continuous process called the hydraulic cycle. Surface water evaporates when it's heated by the sun, whether from a puddle, the ocean, or plants and trees, and rises into the atmosphere as invisible vapor. This water vapor turns into clouds. The clouds release water in the form of rain or snow, which can be soaked up by soil and plants or become runoff on the surface. From there, the water flows into rivers, lakes, and spaces underground, and the cycle starts over again. So we have some threats to our fresh water. As the world's pollution grows, there's an increasing demand for water. Can you imagine how much water mega cities of the future might need? What would happen if people could not find clean drinking water? The quality of the world's water is important to all living things, and the risk of water contamination are higher today than they have been. Contaminants in our water. These pollutants can be harmful to our living organisms. Residuals of heavy metals used in industry like mercury, lead, or arsenic. Chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides used in agriculture and gardening. Chemicals used to make everyday products such as household cleaners, shampoos, hand sanitizer, and cosmetics. Residue from medications, and bacteria from animals and human excrement, aka poo. All right, the world's biggest cities are Tokyo, Japan, Delhi, India, Shanghai, China, Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Mexico City, Mexico. Between 38 million in the biggest to the 22 million in the fifth largest city. All right, fresh water in our daily lives. Everyone uses water. Every family, business, and city or town that provides public services such as schools, hospitals, arenas, or parks. We use water to irrigate our crops and feed our livestock. Agriculture irrigation accounts for 70% of the world's water consumption. And we use water in industry to produce goods, to cool machinery, and to transport finished products. At home, most of our water comes out of the tap. We use it to keep ourselves clean, to wash our clothes, to prepare and cook food, and of course to drink. And we want it to be of the best possible quality. Depending on where you live, the water in your home may come from a well, spring, lake, river, or stream. This water can be contaminated because of human activity. Groundwater is particularly sensitive to products used in farming, such as pesticides, fertilizers, and manure. Factories also discharge pollutants into rivers, lakes, and groundwater. Drinking water. Since water can be contaminated at its sources, it may be treated to make it safe to drink. So pipes carry a community's water to filtration plants where it's put through several steps. Number 1, debris is filtered out. Number 2, the water is disinfected, sometimes using ultraviolet light. Chlorine is used to kill germs and reduce the risk of disease. And 4, the water is safely stored in tanks before being carried through pipes to homes and businesses. But clean drinking water can be contaminated again when it's used in the home. Think about the cleaning products we use to wash clothes and dishes or to take a shower. Would you drink a mouthful of water containing these products? Water that is perfectly drinkable when it comes out of the tap can quickly become undrinkable. It must be sent through a sewage system to the filtration treatment plant to go through the purification process all over again. All right, this is our last page. Water in our bodies. A camel can swallow the equivalent of a bathtub full of water and not need to drink again for a week. But it's different for people. We can go without water or food for a few weeks, but most humans will survive for only 3 to 4 days without water. The human body is like a sponge. It must have water to work well. All the cells that make up the body need water and lots of it. Our bodies are about 60% water, but our blood and our most important organs contain even more than that. How much water is in our organs? Brain, 73%, heart, 73% as well, lungs, 83%, kidneys, 79%, blood, 83%. From birth until death, the average person will drink the equivalent of almost half an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and about 80% of the water you drink is absorbed and used by your body. The remaining 20% is excess and is released through your kidneys and bladder when you go to the bathroom. We need water. To stay healthy, we need water, both inside and out. Washing regularly with clean water is the best protection against disease carried by bacteria and other microorganisms. Many of us get the water that our bodies need from our house taps, but if our water is of poor quality, it can make us sick. In the past, instead of washing off dirt, people scented their bodies with perfumes and powders to hide the smells. In 1850s, France, most people took baths only about once every 2 years. Could you imagine? Oh my goodness. Water helps keep our bodies cool by absorbing heat and releasing it as sweat. When we breathe, the water in our blood helps carry oxygen from the air in our lungs to all of our organs. Water helps clean out our bodies by carrying waste products in urine. Water is in the fluid between our bones, and it helps to lubricate our joints so we can move them easily. Water in our digestive system helps break down the food we eat so our bodies can absorb nutrients. Okay, this will be tomorrow's. Okay, I'm going to share with you a quick video now. What would happen if we didn't drink water?
Water is virtually everywhere, from soil, moisture, and ice caps to the cells inside our own bodies. Depending on factors like location, fat index, age, and sex, the average human is between 55 and 60% water. At birth, human babies are even wetter. Being 75% water, they are swimmingly similar to fish. But their water composition drops to 65% by their first birthday. So what role does water play in our bodies? And how much do we actually need to drink to stay healthy? The H2O in our bodies works to cushion and lubricate joints, regulate temperature, and to nourish the brain and spinal cord. Water isn't only in our blood. An adult's brain and heart are almost 3/4 water. That's roughly equivalent to the amount of moisture in a banana. Lungs are more similar to an apple at 83%, and even seemingly dry human bones are 31% water. If we are essentially made of water and surrounded by water, why do we still need to drink so much? Well, each day we lose 2 to 3 liters through our sweat, urine, and bowel movements, and even just from breathing. While these functions are essential to our survival, we need to compensate for the fluid loss. Maintaining a balanced water level is essential to avoid dehydration or overhydration, both of which can have devastating effects on overall health. At first detection of low water levels, sensory receptors in the brain's hypothalamus signal the release of antidiuretic hormone. When it reaches the kidneys, it creates aquaporins, special channels that enable blood to absorb and retain more water, leading to concentrated dark urine. Increased dehydration can cause notable drops in energy, mood, skin moisture, and blood pressure, as well as signs of cognitive impairment. A dehydrated brain works harder to accomplish the same amount as a normal brain, and it even temporarily shrinks because of its lack of water. Overhydration, or hyponatremia, is usually caused by overconsumption of water in a short amount of time. Athletes are often the victims of overhydration because of complications in regulating water levels in extreme physical conditions. Whereas the dehydrated brain amps up the production of antidiuretic hormone, the overhydrated brain slows or even stops releasing it into the blood. Sodium electrolytes in the body become diluted, causing cells to swell. In severe cases, the kidneys can't keep up with the resulting volumes of dilute urine. Water intoxication then occurs, possibly causing headache, vomiting, and in rare instances, seizures or death. But that's a pretty extreme situation. On a normal day-to-day basis, maintaining a well-hydrated system is easy to manage for those of us fortunate enough to have access to clean drinking water. For a long time, conventional wisdom said that we should drink 8 glasses a day. That estimate has since been fine-tuned. Now, the consensus is that the amount of water we need to imbibe depends largely on our weight and environment. The recommended daily intake varies from between 2.5 to 3.7 liters of water for men and about 2 to 2.7 liters for women, a range that is pushed up or down if we are healthy, active, old, or overheating. While water is the healthiest hydrator, other beverages, even those with caffeine like coffee or tea, replenish fluids as well. And water within food makes up about 1/5 of our daily H2O intake. Fruits and vegetables like strawberries, cucumbers, and even broccoli are over 90% water and can supplement liquid intake while providing valuable nutrients and fiber. Drinking well might also have various long-term benefits. Studies have shown that optimal hydration can lower the chance of stroke, help manage diabetes, and potentially reduce the risk of certain types of cancer. No matter what, getting the right amount of liquid makes a world of difference in how you'll feel, think, and function day to day.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to scoot over here so I can read to you about, so I showed you this last week, but this is 100 inventions that made history. And so today we're going to read about an invention that involves water. You guessed it, the toilet. Okay, I'm going to scoot over a little more so I can, sorry about that loud noise there. I'm outside. Okay, flush. You might, let me go like this. Okay, there we go. You might take them for granted, but life-saving toilets aren't just a public convenience. More than just a flush in the pan. Ancient toilets. So early toilets were basically open air holes in the grounds such as this Roman lavatory from the 2nd century CE. Over the centuries, sewer systems developed for waste to flow into and be carried away. There were simple forms of the flush toilet in many ancient civilizations, including China, Egypt, Persia, modern-day Iran, and Greece. All right, royal flush. Centuries passed and chamber pots were all the rage. A pot was placed under the bed for regular use, with the smelly contents often tossed out of the window. John Harrington, godson to Queen Elizabeth I of England, invented a more advanced flushing toilet in the 1590s, which let water out of a tank and down a pipe to clean the bowl. He installed one for the Queen, who wasn't impressed, and the invention didn't catch on. Could you imagine? It paved the way for the first toilet paper, went on sale in 1857, though the earliest use was probably in China during the 14th century. Okay, so here describes this toilet. The user lifts the D-shaped handle to open the water supply and flush the pan. By the way, I wrote a book full of toilet humor about my invention. My godmother, the Queen, was so upset that she banished me. Oh my goodness. The first public bathroom with flushing toilets opened in London in the 1850s. Today's public toilets are usually housed in separate cubicles with locks. Okay, going around the bend. Deadly diseases, including cholera and typhoid, were spread because waste wasn't flushed away. In 1775, Scottish inventor Alexander Cummings came to the rescue with his toilet. His invention was an improvement on previous models because the pipe that took away the waste included a S-trap, a double bend that stopped horrible fumes from finding their way back up the pipe. The toilet was a relief to everyone, and his design became the prototype for future toilets. Invented in the 1870s by Stevens Heller, the Optimus was an advanced toilet design with an under-the-rim flushing mechanism that was much more effective than previous versions. Did you know that before toilet paper, people used moss or leaves? Rich people might have used cloth, such as wool or even lace. The average person spends 3 years on the toilet. How it works. Oops. Like Cummings' toilet, modern versions still use a bend to trap water, usually in a U shape. There have been some improvements, but the basic flush toilet design has stayed the same, whooshing water down a pipe to carry waste away. Water from the sit's end flushes the bowl when the handle is pulled. Flushed waste travels down a drain to join the main sewers. Bend traps water, which stops smell from coming up the sewers. So how it changed the world. Diseases caused by sewage can kill. The flush toilet has done more to stop the spread of these diseases than any other invention, saving millions of lives. Carblock soap. Toilets cleaned up their act with the arrival of disinfectants. Carbolic acid was in use from the 1860s to kill germs and improve cleanliness. Portable toilets, which use chemicals to deodorize waste, were invented in the 1940s for shipyard workers. They are still used at concerts and festivals today. The porta potty. Okay, So I wanted to share with you a little about how water affects our lives. So there's lots that goes on, including the use of our toilet and to drink water every day. So it's important. I've got my huge water bottle here and I fill this up several times a day. So this helps me remember to drink my water. So make sure you take some extra sips today and stay hydrated. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.